It started with a mix-up at the laundromat. Not a movie kind, just the quiet, inconvenient kind that happens when you're running low on socks and focus. I was folding a faded blue t-shirt when she spoke. "That's mine," she said, her voice calm, not accusing. I looked up, holding the shirt halfway between the basket and my chest. She was standing 2 machines down, sleeves rolled up, hair pulled into a loose twist like she'd done it without a mirror. Mid-40s, maybe. Simple jeans, gray sweater. The kind of person who looked like she'd rather be reading than doing laundry. "Oh, sorry," I said, handing it over. She smiled faintly, not at me, but at the mix-up itself. "You're fine. Happens." Her name, I learned 2 Tuesdays later, was Lena. It became routine, same time, same place. I didn't plan it that way, but I started timing my laundry to hers. She'd read while her machine ran. A paperback folded one-handed. I'd scroll through my phone, pretending not to notice the way she tucked her hair behind her ear every few pages. Once, she looked up and caught me glancing. "You're always here on Tuesdays," she said. "You too," I said. She gave a small shrug. "I like routine. Laundry's as good a ritual as any." I wanted to say something clever, but all I managed was, "Yeah, I get that." We didn't talk much after that, but something lingered in how she'd glance toward the vending machine before I stood up, like she expected me to go grab a coffee, or how she'd wait an extra beat before leaving, folding the last towel slower than necessary. My girlfriend, Tessa, was away most nights. Work, classes, then work again. I didn't think much of it. We were both tired, both pretending that counted as normal. Some nights I'd sit on the couch, thumb hovering over our chat thread, typing and deleting the same message. "You home? You up?" Forget it. Then I'd toss the phone aside and fall asleep to the sound of the fridge cycling on and off. The 4th Tuesday, Lena noticed the sketchbook in my bag. "You draw?" she asked, folding a towel. "Trying to," I said. "Architecture student. We're supposed to capture spaces." Whatever that means. She smiled at that, the kind that reaches just one side of her mouth. Capture spaces. Sounds lonely. I looked at her, unsure if she meant it as a question. Sometimes it is. The dryer buzzed. Neither of us moved. When I finally stood up, she pointed to the thermos beside me. "You always drink the same coffee?" "Yeah. Medium roast. No sugar." She nodded. "I'll remember that." The next Tuesday, I didn't see her. No gray sweater. No book. Just her usual machine, empty. I tried to ignore how quiet the place felt. Folded my laundry too fast. Outside, the evening was heavy with the smell of rain and detergent. I was almost home when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You forgot your hoodie." A photo followed, my gray hoodie, neatly folded on a chair. The table beside it was one I recognized, the corner table by the laundromat window. Then, another text. "I'm upstairs. Door's open if you want it back." I stopped walking. For a long moment, all I heard was the sound of tires hissing on wet asphalt, and somewhere, a door closing. I typed nothing, just stood there, holding the phone, the message lighting my face. I told myself I only went back for the hoodie. But when Lena opened the door, her expression said she already knew better. "You didn't have to," I said, holding up my phone like proof. "I was just heading downstairs anyway," she said, even though she was barefoot, mug in hand, a soft cardigan falling off one shoulder. Her apartment looked like her voice sounded. Calm, slightly tired, lived in. Books stacked in uneven towers. A half-finished cup of tea on the table. A window opened just enough to let the city hum in. I stepped in, left my shoes by the door. She handed me the hoodie, but I didn't take it right away. "Smells like you," she said, then looked almost embarrassed by her own words. "Laundry soap, I mean." I smiled, small, uncertain. "Guess we use the same brand." "Maybe," she said. "Or maybe it's just Tuesdays." We ended up sitting at her table, both pretending we weren't. She poured tea without asking. "Jasmine. The kind that smells like something between a garden and a memory." "Do you ever draw people?" she asked. "Not really. They move too much." "Spaces don't," she said. They just wait. There was a quiet between us, not awkward, exactly. Just full. She set her cup down. I used to edit travel books. Before people stopped reading them. Why'd you stop? She shrugged. Marriage. Then, not marriage. The way she said it made it sound less like an end and more like a silence that had stretched too long. I didn't know what to say, so I nodded and watched the steam rise from her cup instead. Later, she helped me fix the zipper on my hoodie, said she used to mend her son's clothes when he was in school. Her fingers brushed mine once, lightly, almost by accident. The air between us shifted, not hotter, just more aware. She noticed it too. You're thinking too much, she said softly. I usually am. She smiled. That's a terrible habit. Makes you older than you are. Maybe I like older things. It came out before I could stop it. Her hand froze on the zipper. For a second, neither of us moved. Then she laughed, not mocking, but to rescue us both from the moment. You say things like that and make me feel. She stopped herself, shook her head. Never mind. When I left, she followed me to the door. Rain again. She reached out, brushed a bit of lint off my sleeve. Her fingers stayed there half a second too long. Don't catch a cold, she said. See you Tuesday? She smiled, small and careful. You always do. I thought about that the whole way home. The way her eyes had softened when she said it. The way her voice lowered like she didn't mean for it to. I don't know why that moment stayed with me. Maybe because it felt like someone finally saw me. I stopped going to the laundromat on Tuesdays. I told myself it was because I was busy, studio projects, deadlines, life. But the truth was, I didn't trust what I'd do if I saw her again. For 2 weeks, I did my laundry at the campus machines. Coins, humming dryers, fluorescent light. It should have felt like relief. It didn't. Then one evening, I found a note tucked under my building's door. You switched days on me. I'm making coffee if you want to switch back. No address, no time. Just that. I went anyway. When she opened the door, her smile faltered. Not surprise, just the faint shock of something she hadn't planned actually happening. You came, she said, almost to herself. You left a note. I was joking. I didn't know that. Silence. The kind that feels like a third person standing in the room. She moved aside. Come in before I change my mind. Her apartment smelled like coffee and rain. She'd been editing, laptop open, red pen marking up a page. Glasses sliding down her nose. Want some? She asked, nodding toward the pot. Sure. I watched her pour. Her hand trembled just slightly, enough to make a drop fall onto the counter. She didn't wipe it. Neither did I. We talked about nothing, weather, deadlines, neighbors. But every word felt like it was trying not to be something else. When she asked about my girlfriend, I hesitated. She's around, I said. Lena nodded, too quickly. Good. That's good. I wanted to ask if she meant it. I didn't. At some point, the rain thickened. We both looked toward the window. The sound filled the pauses we couldn't. She said, Funny, how loud silence gets when there's company. I smiled. You always say things like that. Like what? Like you're trying not to say something else. Her eyes lingered on mine for too long. Then she looked away. Maybe I am. She gathered her papers, but her hands fumbled, one sheet slipping to the floor. I bent to pick it up. She did too. We both froze. Close enough that I could smell the jasmine from her hair. Her breath caught. Mine followed. For a moment, that long, fragile kind, the world felt suspended. Just two people in borrowed time, waiting for something they both shouldn't want. She pulled back first. Stood too fast. You should go before the rain stops, she said. Why? Because you'll have no reason to leave then. I wanted to argue, to say something that would anchor me there. A reason, any reason. But all I managed was a quiet, okay. At the door, she brushed her sleeve against mine. Not accidental. Not deliberate either. Just a touch, soft, fleeting, devastating. And then she said, almost whispering, Don't make me write another note. It was late afternoon when I saw her again, on the small bench outside the cafe near the laundromat. She was reading, but not really. The book stayed open on her lap, thumb pressed to the page like she couldn't move forward. I almost kept walking. Almost. Still Tuesdays? I asked. She looked up, shielding her eyes from the light. You're early. Or you're late. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Guess we're both off schedule. I sat down beside her. The space between us was careful, just wide enough for air, not for safety. We watched the traffic move. People passing, unbothered. The kind of background noise that makes quiet conversation feel smaller, safer. She said, I think I saw your girlfriend the other day. My stomach tightened. Where? Here. She came into the cafe, asked if I'd seen you. I turned to her. And what did you say? That I didn't know you well. Her voice was steady, but her hands, they were gripping the book too tightly. I tried to laugh it off. You lied for me. She didn't laugh. I didn't do it for you. For a long moment, we sat without words. A breeze moved her hair across her face. I wanted to reach out and fix it, but my hand stayed in my lap. You shouldn't be here, she said finally. I know. Then why are you? Because I don't know where else to be. That made her look at me. Really look. Something sharp and tired behind her eyes, like she'd been trying not to feel anything for too long. Don't say things like that, she whispered. Not to me. I didn't mean, yes, you did. She closed the book, fingers trembling on the cover. You say what you mean, and then pretend you don't. Her voice broke a little on the last word. It wasn't loud. It was worse, honest. I stared at the sidewalk. A woman walked by with a dog. A car honked somewhere. Ordinary things, happening in a moment that wasn't ordinary at all. You make me forget, I said quietly. Just for a while. Her breath caught. Then she laughed once, small and bitter. That's not fair. I know. Then stop coming back. I've tried. Try harder. She stood, clutching her bag to her chest like armor. For a second, I thought she'd walk away. Instead, she sat back down, closer this time, close enough that our shoulders brushed. Neither of us moved. The sound of her breathing filled the space between words. When she finally spoke, it was softer, almost fragile. Do you ever think about what happens next? I turned to her. The question hung there. Heavy, impossible, and completely human. I didn't answer. Neither did she. But neither of us looked away. Lena stopped showing up on Tuesdays. No note this time. No message. Just the same empty laundromat. Same humming machines. Same quiet hum that used to feel comfortable and now didn't. At first, I told myself it was coincidence. Then, that it was good, boundaries, space, the responsible thing. But by the third week, I started folding slower, waiting longer before switching loads, listening for footsteps that never came. One night, I saw her across the street, outside a bookstore. She was with someone, a man, older, salt gray hair, holding her elbow like it was habit. They stood close enough to look like history. Not romance, exactly. Something heavier. She saw me. Or maybe she didn't. Her eyes brushed past, landed somewhere just behind me, and stayed there too long. I didn't wave. I didn't move. By the time I looked again, she was gone. Days passed like static. Tessa started talking again. Small things, everyday things. Dinner plans, her new coworker, the class she might drop. I nodded in all the right places. But the whole time, I kept thinking how Lena once said, spaces wait. And this one, whatever it was waiting wrong. A week later, a knock came at my door. When I opened it, a package sat on the floor. My name written in small, careful letters. Inside, my sketchbook. The one I'd left at her place weeks ago. Tucked between the pages, a note. You draw people after all. Don't make me part of the architecture. No explanation. No apology. Just that. That night, I walked to her building anyway. Her lights were off. The mailbox half open, a flyer sticking out. I stood there, half hidden in the hall's yellow light, holding the note like it meant something I couldn't name. My hand hovered near her door. 3 slow breaths. I didn't knock. Instead, I took out my phone. Typed a message I wasn't brave enough to send. I don't know if this was ever supposed to be anything. But it was something. At least to me. I stared at the blinking cursor until it stopped feeling like language. Then I deleted it. Back home, I tried to draw her, the bench, the coffee cup she never finished. But everything came out wrong. Too straight, too distant. Like the world had flattened overnight. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused. Like life forgot to finish the sentence. It was early evening when I saw her again. The air had that pale winter light that makes everything seem farther away than it really is. She was locking her door, keys jangling against the wood. For a second, she didn't notice me, or pretended not to. Then, quietly, "You're still here." "I live here," I said. "Technically." A soft exhale. Half a laugh. "Technically." I almost turned back. But the way she held her coat, tied across her chest, like she was keeping something in, made me stop. "Can we talk?" I asked. Inside, her apartment looked different. Cleaner. Rearranged. Like she'd been trying to reset her life one shelf at a time. The table where we'd once sat felt smaller. A different mug, different book. Nothing left that looked like before. She poured water into the kettle, not asking if I wanted tea. "You shouldn't have come," she said. "I know." "Then why are you here?" "Because it still feels unfinished." The kettle began to hum, not boiling yet, but close. She leaned against the counter, eyes low. "You think talking fixes that?" "I don't know," I said. But silence didn't. For a while, she said nothing. Just turned the flame off before the whistle started. The faint hiss of cooling metal filled the room. Then, "He's not my boyfriend." "The man you saw." I didn't ask. "But you wanted to." I waited. "He's my ex-husband," she said. "He still drops by sometimes, like memory pretending to be maintenance." I nodded, though I didn't know what to do with that. She continued, voice lower. "You made me forget him for a while." "That's complicated." "I never wanted to make you forget." She looked at me then, really looked. "Then what did you want?" I didn't have an easy answer. I thought of the rain, the tea, the half-finished laundry loads, the way she said my name like a question she never asked aloud. "To be seen," I said finally, without having to earn it. That broke something in her face. Not sadness, exactly, but release. She set the kettle down and came closer, slow and deliberate, like she was walking through something invisible. "You shouldn't say things like that," she whispered. "They stay." I know. For a long time, neither of us moved. Then she reached out, barely, fingertips grazing my sleeve, the smallest touch that felt like a confession. "I kept your drawing," she said. "The one you think you forgot." "You kept it." She nodded. "Because it wasn't really about me. It was about the way you see." We stood there in the stillness, the hum of the fridge, the faint smell of boiled water. No declarations. No promises. Just two people finally telling the truth without saying much at all. When I turned to leave, she said softly, "Don't disappear this time." I looked back. Okay. Spring came slow that year. The rain stopped visiting so often, and the air smelled faintly of soap and wet concrete. By then, everything had changed a little, not all at once, just in the quiet ways life tends to shift when no one's watching. I'd moved out of the duplex a month ago, closer to campus, smaller place, worse view. But some mornings, I still walked the long way to class, past the laundromat, past her building, just to see the light in her window. 8:47 a.m. Always the same time. Always that faint yellow glow spilling through the blinds. It was enough. One Tuesday, by habit or by fate, I saw her again. Same cafe. Same corner bench outside. She was reading. This time really reading. Pen tucked behind her ear, a cup of jasmine tea steaming beside her. When she noticed me, she smiled before she could stop herself. It wasn't shy anymore. Just known. "Still on Tuesdays," I said. "Still medium roast. No sugar," she replied, glancing at the cup in my hand. I sat beside her, the same careful distance as before, only now, it didn't feel careful. Just comfortable. We didn't talk about the missing months, or the messages never sent. We didn't need to. The air between us had already forgiven both of us for how human we'd been. "I read that book you liked," I said. The one about the cities? She smiled. Still think it's lonely? Yeah, I said. But now I think that's the point. A quiet laugh. She looked at me then. The same look from that first mix-up in the laundromat. Softer now, less afraid. I kept your drawing, she said again, like she wanted to make sure I remembered. It's still on my wall. Does it still look like me? She shook her head. No. Looks like us. We stayed there until the morning turned to afternoon. No grand gestures. No lines crossed. Just the easy rhythm of two people who finally learned where to stand. Before I left, she reached for my hand. Brief, certain, warm. I'm glad you came back, she said. I never really left, I replied. She smiled, and for a moment, the world felt perfectly unfinished, like the last page of a book that doesn't need a sequel. Later that night, I sat at my desk, sketching. Not buildings, not rooms, just light, the kind that leaks through blinds at 8:47 a.m., soft and stubborn, finding its way in no matter what. I realized that maybe that's what she'd given me all along. Not an ending, but a way of seeing. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want to fix anything, just to keep noticing. Did this story stay with you? What kind of quiet, real love stories do you want to hear next? The kind that ends softly, or the kind that never really end at all?